Hi, I'm Nabihah. I'm an engineer at Arup in the technical services team.
So Arup is an engineering firm that was set up by a man called Arup, and nowadays it involves not just engineers but planners, architects and other specialists who all work on projects in and around the built environment. Arup has been involved in some really iconic buildings, from the Sydney Opera House in Australia, the Sagrada Familia in Spain, the CCTV global headquarters in China, and the Hindu Heritage Experience in India. Growing up, I always loved building things and making things, whether that was building sort of Lego toys as a very young child or helping my dad assemble flat pack furniture when I was a little bit older. I always enjoyed, the practical element of doing and making. And I knew going into university I would want to do something that fed into my other skills, which were more science related, but also had this very practical element that ideally would also help people. So that was why engineering for me was a perfect fit. What I've been working on lately that I've been so interested in and enjoying working on has been urban heat island analysis. The urban heat island effect just describes the fact that urban areas are warmer than rural areas, and if you live in a city you'll experience that when maybe when you go into the sort of suburbs or into the countryside it feels cooler, and that's because it really is cooler. Heat is actually the biggest hazard in terms of mortality in the world. Not hurricanes, not earthquakes, not volcanoes, it's heat. So we worked with academia using academic models and using in-house expertise with different teams to develop a tool within Arup called UHeat to analyze urban heat islands. And we recently used this on 9 cities across the world as part of Arup's Urban Heat Snapshot, where we looked at a 150 kilometer squared area of each city and mapped out the air temperatures in that area. And the color scale shows from yellow, which is the coolest areas and the cool spots, to red, which is the very hottest and hotspot areas. Some of the really interesting findings were Mumbai, which was actually the city of our 9 which had the highest urban heat island. So I believe it was over 7 degrees hotter in certain parts of the city than it would have been in other parts of the city or in the rural areas. And these areas that were the most affected by heat, so the hottest areas, were the areas where with less economic funding, so poorer areas with higher population densities and fewer trees and vegetation to really cool it down. We also looked at London, which is the city that I live in, which was nice to do, and we could see the impact in London of the River Thames and of Regent's Park and Hyde Park as really big cool spots that are cooling down the neighbouring areas and making it safer and more comfortable. This particular map is actually looking at the nighttime, where urban heat island tends to be at its worst. And you can really see in this map the centre of London is really hot compared to sort of the outer areas, and also with the river running through. We need to be very strategic about the changes that we make to cities to reduce temperatures, and sometimes they're not going to be reducing the temperatures by like 10 degrees as much as we would like. It might be just a half a degree by putting trees along the sides of the roads, so pedestrians when they're walking get the shaded canopy coverage. We also look at how we can reduce temperatures inside buildings, and one such intervention that is really low cost and really effective is just painting the roof of a building white. And this can reduce temperatures inside a building of more than 2.2 degrees Celsius, which makes a big difference in thermal comfort. When I was, sort of a child, I didn't think I would be working on anything like this when I was grown up, but it's perfect for me. I really enjoy working on things that I know is gonna lead to benefits for people, and I really enjoy being able to put my brain to use to try and solve these problems, and I'm very, very proud of the impact that I've had on these projects, and that, you know, the work that we're doing is continuing to have on cities and spaces that, you know, people occupy. Something that would surprise people about my job is the fact that at Arup we get funding to do community activities. So that might mean working with teen tech, and recently I was involved with some activities with teen tech relating to teen ethics. So I, as a sort of a professional engineer, help support young people in developing an ethics charter for technology, which was, it's really, really beneficial for me to just be around people, young people who have so many ideas, and to be reminded about, like, yeah, where I came from and the amazing talent that is coming into the engineering field. If you're thinking about becoming an engineer, or if you just don't really know what engineering is because you thought it was something very traditional and now you're learning that maybe it's not, I would encourage you to research and to be really, really curious. Explore, email people who maybe have careers that you find interesting, or message them on LinkedIn. Go for work experience, or sort of even volunteering, to try and get as much sort of experience and knowledge about sort of the variety that there is as you can.